Hi, my name is Sheri-Lynn DeMaris and I live in the Philadelphia area in the United States. And I've been a guidance counselor for 26 years. And I started macrobiotic cooking about 26 years ago. I was in graduate school and we all became a member of a co-op because we couldn't afford to buy food. And in the co-op were vegetarian foods and cookbooks and cooking supplies, so I started learning just vegetarian cooking. I grew up in a home where I was very fortunate. My mother was into yoga and meditation and things like that, so she always cooked really healthy foods for our family. But I wasn't really exposed to macrobiotics until around the 1980s. I lived in Philadelphia, and in Philadelphia there was a doctor named Tony Sadalero. He wrote a book called Recalled by Life, and he was a president of Methodist Hospital, and he was diagnosed with brain cancer. And as he was driving home from his vacation home, he picked up two hitchhikers, and basically his doctors had told him he had about 6 weeks to live. And the hitchhikers gave him a book on macrobiotics, and he started eating the food, and once he ate the food, he understood how it was helping him recover from his cancer. He actually became cancer-free from the diet and worked along with Michio Kushi, who brought macrobiotics to the United States, and a few other people from Philadelphia, Denny Waxman and Judy Waxman and Stan and Geraldine Walker. And I met them when I was living in Philadelphia and was very curious about the diet, so I took a cooking class. And at the time, Philadelphia was a hub for many people who had read Tony Sadalero's recovery story and eventually his book, which became a bestseller. So many people came from around the country to study at the center. Many people who were very sick with cancer and had gone through extensive chemo and radiation. And I began to not only help the cooking teachers there, but also take notes for when Denny would see these clients, and when Michio would come into town, he would also see these clients. So year after year, I was really curious as to why and how they got well so soon. Really severe cancers, tumors, I saw decrease. I saw people's spirit come back. I remember stories where even some mentally retarded children would come in and see him, and they were able to walk or able to talk or express themselves more. So it always intrigued me as to how this diet really worked and what was behind the whole premise of macrobiotics. So I began to study, and I first studied with the Waxmans in Philadelphia. I lived in what they called study house at the time. It was a home that they invited people in to live and learn cooking. And then I began to take classes up at the Kushi Institute, which was in Massachusetts, and studied there for about 6 years with Michio. We were fortunate at the time that he was available and taught us level 4, so we had about 6 months of study with him, and I began to see more and more other diseases start to heal from macrobiotics, not just cancer, but heart disease, multiple sclerosis, some very severe diseases, skin diseases, and things that really stumped doctors. And at the same time, I was working in a school with children, and it was very hard to get them to eat well, so I created an after-school program, cooking program for them. Since they all love to cook, I didn't really call it macrobiotic. I just went out and said that we're going to cook from the garden. So I began taking groups of kids to a community garden and teaching them about gardening and organic gardening. And then we started a garden at our school, and I got the kids to harvest the food in May and cook meals with the food. And did that for 2 years and created a cookbook in the school system for the kids. And once they harvested the food and they would make some of the really fun foods, we would make spring rolls and pizza and things like that, just in a vegetarian way, they began to take those same recipes home and show their parents, and also take their parents to Whole Foods and shop and introduce them to the ingredients. And each class, in addition to the cooking class, I would show them a new ingredient. These are umeboshi plums. They're great for sore throats or fever, and how to cook with them and how to use them. And I began to see their health improve, and also their moods improve. And we had discussions each week about the food and what it does and how to balance a meal. And I would teach cooking very simply, just show them the 5 basic tools of cooking. It's steaming, boiling, baking, stir frying, deep frying, and then they can create sort of on their own. And I also taught them a little bit about yin and yang, the pairs of opposites, and how to make balance in a dish. So from that, we created a book with photos, and we actually received a large grant from McDonald's and also from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, which is a huge committee in Washington, D.C. The president of that committee is Neil Barnard, and he's done lots of innovative things in America with the vegetarian diet and introducing it to medical doctors and hospitals around in America. And he also gave me an award called the Golden Carrot Award. So with that money, we took and used it for our garden and used it to buy the materials for the kitchen. We bought some new equipment for the kitchen. And so year after year, we used the Healthy Cooking Club to introduce new 5th and 6th graders to how to cook for themselves and their families. And then at the end, we have a big party with the parents that come in. So this year, from that book and the project, I published a book called Macrobiotic for Parents and Kids. And in the book, it explains macrobiotic ingredients, where they come from, why we use them, their healing powers. Because I feel that it's not just vegetarian food or eating locally. I feel that there's a lot of healing foods that go along with that, and that they're not really used yet by the American public or worldwide. And people don't really understand their properties or know about them and know how to create balance with them. So I really feel deeply inside that my mission here is to bring that out more in the public. So when I travel and cook, I'm teaching in Amsterdam this week, and I've taught in Japan and around different areas. I'd like to really present that in a really eye-opening way to the public, because I think it's time, with all the illnesses coming up on our planet. Breast cancer, they say, is 1 in 3 now women get. Prostate cancer is right behind breast cancer. And a lot of it has to do with commercially prepared foods that we're not now feeding our children and eating as adults. So I hope to really spread the word about macrobiotics, and especially the healing foods on the diet. And I also feel that many stores now are, especially with the large markets, are taking over the small health food stores, and the quality of food is not there anymore. And as far as organic farming and growing brown rice and all the good quality misos, I'm really hoping stay good quality or improve in good quality, and more people get interested in manufacturing the foods and creating those foods, because I think they're going to really help our planet.